All right, thank you so much, Ron, for having me here today. Very happy to speak to you all on sustainability and what Microsoft is doing. My name is Dawn James. I am the Director of U.S. Sustainability and Environmental Sciences here at Microsoft. And just to give you a little bit of perspective of who I am and what I do here at Microsoft. So I am the Microsoft Sustainability Lead for the U.S. I'm an industry lead. My background is in geosciences. I have a master's in geoscience and education and experience, 25 years in the industry. I'm also a certified naturalist. I started my career off in environmental engineering, geotechnical engineering. I worked for the U.S. Department of Interior as a hydrogeologist. I've covered industries from energy, environmental, water resources, and infrastructure across the manufacturing. Worked all over the world. Here at Microsoft, I'm focused on our industry approach to sustainability. I work with our customers across the US sub and across the world to talk around Microsoft's commitment to sustainability and also how we infuse the power of technology, the power of digital enablement to help every person and every organization on the planet to do more, but also to do more and build in a sustainable way so that we work towards our future. I really take our mission and our commitment to sustainability very personally. This is something that I've worked at my entire career, and it's very important to me that we're focusing in this way on sustainability, on industry, and across all of the pillars for how sustainability can be addressed in a real concrete way. Right. So when we look at when we look at sustainability and we look at the planetary scale of the challenges that we face, we know that there's more to it than just what we're seeing in front of us. We know that this is not just a global challenge, but we're facing our climate change mitigation and the anthropogenic effects contributing to climate change, and we're tackling it on multiple fronts. What we're seeing is that climate change and the effects of climate change have a magnifying power to folks that are more vulnerable. So we see that this is not only a planetary scale problem from a resourcing standpoint, but also on a multiple front standpoint. You know, those that are most impacted by the pandemic that we're currently facing are also more impacted through the effects of climate change that we experience. And we can look at this in many different ways. One way is looking at the numbers, right? So it's difficult for us to figure out how to fix or mitigate these issues if we don't have a very clear understanding, as best to our ability, from a data standpoint of the challenges that we're facing. So when we look at the amount of carbon that we need to remove from the atmosphere, when we look at the percentage of water, right, that the U.S. is estimating, this 55% is what the U.S. is estimating is the gap between our water supply and the availability and demand over the coming decades. We're also looking at 11.2 gigatons of the amount of food that is wasted every year, right? And then we also look at the number of the percentage of species on our planet that's threatened to go extinct over the next decade, right? And when we look at the size of the problem, not only is it daunting, but we can also look at it from a perspective of that this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for each of us as an individual to rethink our systems, rethink our economic systems, and think about how we might dematerialize our economy. And for us to do that, we need to understand all of our resources and how to be optimal in the way in which we use them so that we can use fewer of them for the amount of people that live on the planet, so we can be more sustainable into our future. And for that, you know, it is looking at the way that we marry the physical and digital systems for societal impact, right? So that we are looking at, you know, if it's new forms of energy, if it's new ways of working, that we are looking at both aspects of this challenge and using it as an opportunity. So one of the ways that we look at sustainability here at Microsoft is that, you know, when I mentioned dematerializing, dematerializing how we look at this challenge, we look at it also from the aspect of these kind of 3 Ps, where we think of people, planet, and also profits. And, you know, sustainability is good for business, right? We look at the economic data around sustainability. We look at the measure that we looked at it. We look how it presents an incredible opportunity, economic and market opportunity, right? We're looking at the opportunity globally around with governments and utilities alone, that we can see that there's, you know, we can expect to spend between a number of government organizations that we're seeing from around the world that are spending for sustainability solutions. We're seeing that this is a $60 billion opportunity to create energy efficient technologies by 2028. We're also looking at, you know, specifically around different industries. So an example is around precision agriculture, and this particular sector is looking to grow $12 billion by 2025. We're also seeing that there is a number of bold climate actions that are being taken from our cities, municipalities, climate action around our food sourcing, land use, water, and industry could deliver at least $26 trillion in economic benefits by 2030. This is a huge opportunity. It's a huge market-making opportunity, and we see that these sustainability strategies, there are opportunities for increased revenue. These are opportunities to save money while reducing operating costs. We look at how this can actually boost the integrity of a company or organization's brand trust. We can see that by building new sustainable lines of business, that customers are actually being drawn to this from a increasing demand perspective. So at Microsoft, we say that when the world does better, Microsoft does better. And that's part of our core mission. So we are leading with planetary concerns first. We're leading with people, our customers, our partners, our employees, and we're also looking at it from a business strategy perspective and you know, how can we do this in a profitable way? So at Microsoft, we have focused our strategy on the core issues, the core areas that are critical to a sustainable future. We're in line with the UN objectives and the SDG targets, Sustainable Development Goals. And we're focused in these 4 areas around carbon, water, waste, and ecosystems, right? So many companies, including ours, right, map their sustainability and corporate responsibility schedule, corporate responsibility development, corporate responsibility strategies around the SDGs and the UN goals, and we're like that too. So these are the same pillars and targets that have been defined by the UN goals. We focus on our products and services. We are a preferred platform for environmental solutions, and I'll go into that a little bit more when we talk a little bit around our cloud for sustainability. And also we're focused on being able to operate our core business with this increasing responsibility around carbon, waste, water, and our land footprint across our products and facilities and how we operate our supply chain. We're also looking at our customers and partners so that we are looking to deliver new features within our own products, new features to highlight from our partners as we understand we're on this journey too, just like everybody else, so that we understand how to manage our own footprint through our partners, but also how our customers and the partners that we're working with, how they manage environmental impact and taking those learnings and creating a feedback loop so that everybody can learn. We're focused on policy, making sure that we're advocating for corporate and societal goals so that we're supporting initiatives that support our bottom line around people and planet. We also understand that people are some of our most precious resources and assets here at Microsoft. So we're looking at being able to develop technologies that are collectively helping to give a powerful voice that is geared towards change and climate change mitigation. So we bring all of these things together. We're very, very focused on our employees and the actions that our employees have and can to drive this type of feedback loop, to be this leading platform to provide technology solutions for these particular environmental challenges. One of the things that we talk about is that creating a strong culture around this type of mission is what drives our ability to execute on this type of strategy, especially such a bold strategy. And that's one of the reasons why we have employees at the center of our circle, our wheel. One of the things that the things that comes to mind to me is that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? You can have the best strategy, the most altruistic goals, but if you don't have the culture that backs it up, then it's very difficult to implement that strategy. That's why we put our people and employees at the center. In fact, Microsoft has been working on this sustainability journey for several decades, and we've set our first carbon emissions reduction goal back in 2009, and we've made steady progress. But we've realized that even though we've made progress as a company, the planetary challenge that we face needed more. It needed us to up our ambition. So in 2020, we made additional significant commitments around our environmental sustainability work. We committed to being carbon negative, water positive, and waste zero by 2030, in addition to building a planetary computer. We made this bold commitment around being 100%, operating with 100% renewable energy by 2025, and to be completely, like I mentioned, carbon negative, water positive, and waste zero by 2030. So in our journey, in Microsoft's journey, there's quite a few things that we've learned from working across many different companies and partners across sustainability. We've discovered that although companies vary on where they are in their journey, the journey a lot of times looks very similar across industries and across regions, and including the journey that we're on right now here at Microsoft. We start to understand that for us to get to the 3 R's, as far as reducing, removing, and replacing fossil fuel or carbon emitting energy and technologies, we need to start with the data. We need to start from a recording aspect. We find that everybody starts from the same place. We need to understand where we are to know where we're going. We need to have the right type of accounting and resources so that we can report out where we are. Transparency is very important, so that not only, so from a Microsoft perspective, we are very transparent about our journey, not only for to let people know where we are, but we do it also so that people can learn. One of the things that one of the stories I always kind of kind of use as analogy is dating apps, right? So sometimes, you see people that get on dating apps and they get out there and they say, I'm very lonely, right? And then they think that's a scary thing to say, but the next thing you know, there's 5, 10 people saying I'm lonely too, and then all of a sudden you feel less lonely. And that's one of the things that we found with our sustainability journey. We went out there and made very, very bold commitments and decided to be very transparent about the struggles that we've been going through. And one of the things that I personally found in talking to folks as we relate the struggles and the challenges that Microsoft is going through to get through to make these commitments and to make good on these commitments is that everybody's struggling. Everybody's having a hard time. This is a new space, and we learn together, right? So this is part of the journey that we've noted that everyone is going through, ourselves included, and these are the learnings that we've acquired that we're sharing out so that we can all learn and we can all do better together. One of the ways that we talk about sustainability is through the lens of digital transformation. So the way that I like to talk through it is that when you're talking about sustainability, once again, it's difficult to know where you're going if you don't know where you are. And to know where you are depends on data, right? You need to define your data sources, connect, right? We need to be connected and aligned so that you can build a proper digital foundation. And in our case, leveraging the cloud so that you have a unified platform to connect, automate, visualize your data, have an end-to-end view of your entire value chain. Once we have that kind of connected understanding of where we are from an emissions standpoint, that's when we can start moving into the intelligence space, being able to drive more agility, responsibility, having the flexibility and the predictive capabilities of knowing, one, what your footprint is, where are the areas that you can potentially change, reduce, decarbonize, reduce, or replace. Where are those areas that are going to most impact your business today? Where are those low-hanging fruits? Where is the area that you might want to focus your sustainability journey on today so that you will future-proof your business for the next 5, 10, 15 years? What does that strategy look like? And to be able to discern those insights, it starts with data. It starts with understanding, having a transparent view of your value chain. And then thirdly, to be able to move into that differentiated learning space, we think about being able to develop disruptive capabilities. That's when we start getting into these digital feedback loops, understanding how to create new business models, and also being able to amplify those models with algorithms, decision-making algorithms, and automated execution. So all of these things are tied together when we talk through the sustainability journey, especially when we start talking through how to enable specific industries, right, from a sustainability perspective. So one of the ways that we think through this is, again, we have our core areas, our core challenge areas across carbon, water, waste, and ecosystems, but also we include energy in that. And across those 4 areas that from our perspective, that we're delivering this kind of sustainability space within these industries, we're looking at MRV solutions where we're digital solutions, so we measure, report, and have a verification system, real-time monitoring. One of the things that we talk through too from a digital perspective, a digital enablement perspective, are scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. How are we tracking carbon offsets? How are we tracking carbon offsets from an exchange, analytics, and accounting perspective? When we start talking through some of these market-making strategies, disruptive technologies, and business models, how are they being implemented? How are they being accelerated and scaled? And And then, of course, talking through decarbonization of a supply chain and circular economy. All of these things take a digital underpinning and also can be implemented through cloud solutions and services. So continuing on this idea of empowering organizations from an industry lens and looking at sustainability solutions, we can talk through what, how Microsoft differentiates in this space and how we enable specific industries from a digital standpoint. So we certainly have horizontal solutions from a cloud from sustainability perspective that sits on our Azure Cloud. But our goal here is to give every customer the ability to meet their sustainability goals with a connected solution. So we have horizontal solutions that cross industry boundaries. However, we have specific, just on the, like we talked through on the last conversation around energy, there's a number of ways that we are empowering energy transition, right? So sustainability or environmental goals that are being enabled through either through monitoring, data acquisition, modeling, data management, all through the Microsoft and AI platform. So really what we're talking about is an ecosystem approach and being able to leverage an underlying foundational layer that is going to be breaking up silos while promoting data sharing across a value chain. Right? And in each of these areas, we have very specific industry SKUs and industry clouds that align to how some of these very specific APIs or ISVs might bring very industry-specific solutions that sit on top of our sustainability cloud, right? So we're looking at being able to have diversity and connectors for the data that comes in through vendors. We're looking at being able to leverage an entire partner ecosystem, as well as incorporate specific industry data and models that integrate sustainability into the core, right? So we're looking at a foundational data model that leverages some of our first-party apps like Power BI and Power Apps that will actually help facilitate the deployment across the value chain and being incorporated within the business. Our cloud for sustainability also includes a number of dynamic calculators to help model emissions for predictive capabilities. But at its core, we have a carbon accounting piece that also helps across all of these industries to be able to account for the carbon within your value chain, and then also to be able to capitalize on any sort of like disruptive technologies and business strategies that you might want to employ, because this will be able to create growth opportunities around these new business models. So one of the things that we like to talk to is how to leverage technology to measure and minimize your carbon footprint, right? So when we think through tracking and reporting on your carbon footprint around your scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions for, say, your IT services and how you would measure your operational carbon, leveraging technology, leveraging the cloud for sustainability to help with some of your carbon reduction schemas, right? So how you would make carbon reduction maybe more explicit as an aspect to your supply chain processes or operational model. How we would improve operations through low carbon energy solutions, like how we apply AI or digital twin and machine learning to improve energy forecasting or maintenance, asset maintenance and prediction on our renewable assets, or how will we find, maybe the optimal site for maximum return on energy, those type of solutions. Also tracking and reducing emissions across from GHG emissions throughout your supply chain, right? So that we would create a worldwide or create a global footprint that we can make more efficient through the adoption of low carbon energy solutions, right? And so ultimately what we're looking to do is also to accelerate this zero carbon grid and electrification through leveraging technology. So we have a number of solutions through partner and also that leverages our cloud, where we talk through flexible grid solutions that integrate energy systems, and also looking at balancing energy supply and demand as we look to minimize costly infrastructure upgrades. In addition, one of the things that we're doing is looking at ways to take part in the circular economy and reducing waste. So some of this is by building circular products and processes that really fulfill the strict environmental criteria, and also that they're designed to be compliant with all applicable legal requirements. So that's something that's really important as we're building cloud solutions and industry-specific digital solutions. We have to think about how we're going to serve up this information and data to adhere to regulatory standards or legal requirements. We're looking at responsible sourcing of raw materials and also how we improve waste data from a quality perspective, tracking and reporting perspective, and also how do we reduce liability, cost, and environmental impact. So, to kind of wrap up here, one of the things that I like to talk through is, some of the takeaways that we find from Microsoft's own journey, right? So, there is a way that we look at, the digital enablement of sustainability. One is kind of a sustainability by default, in that the simple migrating to the cloud reduces carbon emissions. We are looking at optimizing our data centers to also decrease, it would be our customers' scope 3 emissions, and how they would be utilizing Microsoft's products and reducing, from optimizing our own data centers, we reduce energy usage and emissions, and also reduce water consumption through some of our efficiency solutions. We've done so much around our own campuses, around smart building solutions that tie into smart infrastructure and green construction, and we've learned a lot on this journey. We are looking to share those learnings, be very transparent on the work that we've done around CLT, cross-laminated timber. Also, the work that we've done internally around the carbon tax and what we do with the funds collected from our carbon tax to fund innovation, and making sure that we're doing the investing in carbon reducing strategies and technology. We've done a lot around hybrid work and virtual events, and that is something that we also like to share, and how we're using that moving forward to accelerate carbon reductions around travel. We do a lot around focus and packaging, and we share our journey around that. And one of the biggest things that we share around our journey is the impact to our supply chain, and that piece around collaborating with vendors and having transparency on the challenges that we face and how we look to mitigate those challenges. So lastly, I'm wrapping up here because of the way that I'm sharing. I can't see the time at all. So Ron, you have to keep me honest. These are the last couple of slides, and I really just wanted to take the time.
Yeah, Dawn, we're doing fine. Another 5-7 minutes. Is that perfect for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm just going to wrap up, and if you want to follow up with any questions, that's fine. I just have 2 more slides. So, the last things I'll just leave everybody with is that, we're all working together to create, a more prosperous and just future, environmentally stable future. This comes from, at Microsoft, this comes from not only from the top down, from a business strategy perspective, but also from the inside out. We have a very strong uh, group within Microsoft, our employee resources group around sustainability and environmental justice is very strong. We do a lot of work internally, but all of that is so that we can help make and influence around our sphere of influence and everything that we touch, so that, again, we recognize the scope of the challenge that we face, and doing everything in our power with the platform that we have and the tools that we have available to us to make a real difference. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Happy to connect on social media, and let me know if you have any questions.